Afternoon, everybody. I'm Rochelle Thomas, and I'm coming to you from Peters Cemetery in Mountainburg, Arkansas. I am standing in between Hiram and Caroline Peters. Hiram was born in 1836. Caroline, we don't actually have a date of birth, but we do have a date of death of 1910, and that she was approximately 68 years old. So that ties in with Hiram's age. Um, One of the things I want to make note of in this cemetery right off the bat is the fact that as we pan the video around, most of the headstones in this cemetery are facing to the east. And there's a lot of symbolism that goes in with facing your headstone to the east in um, even in ancient Egyptian cultures and most recently in Christian cultures. It actually signifies having your loved one be facing the east to either meet the rising sun if you believe in one of the older religions, or with Christians that they are prepared to meet Christ as he rises from the east. Um, as you're looking around, you'll see a lot of rocks sticking up as markers. Um, these are this was a common practice, and this goes into the socioeconomic um, part of this. Uh, Hiram and Caroline's markers are not necessarily what you would have expected in this area for that time. These would have been considered very fancy monuments for 1910. And right in front of Caroline is a person who was buried here um, with nothing but a rock. And somebody actually took the time to scratch his last name into the rock and his date of birth and date of death. Um, Most of the rock markers and stuff are more here toward the back and toward the north. Um, you have several different plots that are blocked off. And what I know from dealing with my parents, the cemeteries and stuff, is that that's really not allowed anymore. They don't like people to do that because it makes it hard for the upkeep. Another thing I wanted to take note of was right back here behind Caroline and Hiram are three infant deaths. Um, I believe they span a age from 1880, 1870, and somewhere in there, which some other children we found in here, that seems to have been a common era for infant deaths. And I don't know if there was an epidemic at the time, or I would really have to do a lot of digging on that. But in the between 1865 to 1880, there did seem to be a lot of infant deaths that are recorded in a lot of the cemeteries around here. And somebody has came back at a later date and put the granite headstones in, but if you'll notice along the ground, initially these were just marked with little bitty rocks to show that they were there. Another one you can see up here. I mean, as you get closer to the road, you see the more modern headstones that you see commonly today. But interspersed in amongst those are ones that go back to the 1800s. And what I found is that even mixed in among the more modern ones, some of these older ones were just as, I hate to use the word fancy, but I mean they would have been fancy for their time. Um, but overall, like I said, this probably started as a family cemetery, and there are a lot of Peters recorded in here. And probably as the family grew and married and spread out, different people were included. Um, Overall, probably about 60% of this cemetery is relegated to about 4 or 5 families. I mean, there's other people mixed in, but you predominantly see a lot of the same names. So I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I hope I covered enough. I enjoyed poking around in here and looking at all this. And have a good evening. Thank you.